And we want to now bring in Ed O'Keefe for the latest on the White House. He joins us from Kiowa Island, South Carolina, where President Biden is on vacation. Ed is a CBS News senior White House and political correspondent. Ed, good to see you. Did the White House know that the Attorney General was going to speak today on this?
It's a good question, and one we've been asking all week as the Justice Department has taken these steps against the former president. And in this case, two senior officials telling CBS News that they had no heads up whatsoever that the Attorney General was going to do this today. They learned about it from media reports with the rest of the general public. That should not surprise people. Remember, when then candidate Joe Biden was running, he had vowed to ensure that he would not meddle in the affairs of the Justice Department. As president, he made a similar pledge, and that's why he appointed or chose to nominate Merrick Garland, believing that he's somebody who could serve as a straight shooter, sort of nonpartisan attorney general, and somebody who was not personally close to the president. So there has been no formal notification, sources tell us, between the White House and the Justice Department about any of this so far. That is by design. It's by the book. It's the way they want it. Part of the reason that there's this remove between the president and senior leadership at the Justice Department is not only because of this politically sensitive situation involving the former president, but also because a member of the Biden family, of course, remains under Justice Department investigation. Hunter Biden, who's vacationing here with his father on Kiowa Island, remains the subject of a federal investigation based out of Wilmington, Delaware, over tax evasion and other potential issues. And so there again is a reason why the Biden White House wanted to ensure there was separation, and why they tell us, at least, although the Justice Department won't confirm this because they don't get into this, but why the White House tells us there's been no coordination or heads up given to the West Wing.
Yeah, and turning to some of the president's legislative priorities, and many of them have now passed, but there are several outstanding issues that he's expected to take action on, namely student loans and China tariffs. What do we know about those?
Well, yeah, you know, we're coming off of a really successful legislative clip. It's going to be capped by passage of the Inflation Reduction Act on Friday in the House. We're not aware yet of any plans for the president to speak out tomorrow after that happens, or when the bill will be signed. But he also uses these sort of quieter times to go over what might be coming next. And the two big things that are standing out there still that we know he has been mulling for several months, in the case of China tariffs for more than a year, is what to do about those two big issues. One, do you lift some tariffs on Chinese imported goods to potentially ease inflation and to perhaps smooth things over at least a little bit economically with the Chinese, or do you do that to the detriment of labor unions and others here in the United States who say those tariffs should remain in place? On student loans, again, a politically fraught issue. He has extended the forgiveness until August 31st. Kids are headed back to school now this month. Several I know I ran into in the airport on my way here who were making their way to college to start the new year, and so student loans are on their mind. We're anticipating an answer to the question of who, if anyone, is getting some kind of federal forgiveness, how much, and to what extent. The president expected to make that decision at some point in the next few weeks and announce it as many students are headed back to school, and obviously as Democrats worry about turning out younger voters who traditionally vote Democrat in this year's elections.
And finally, Ed, on a lighter note, when the president heads out on vacation, as you and I both know, it's usually to Delaware. So why is he in South Carolina this time?
Yeah, you know, this is an interesting one, and you and I have certainly served our time at the Westin in Wilmington as he spends the weekend there, so we can appreciate a change of scenery. In this case, you know, it may be unfamiliar to most Americans, but it's very familiar territory to the Biden family. The president, as a senator, has been coming here really since the late 70s, early 1980s, as a guest of the late Senator Fritz Hollings, who's from this part of the state. He would have him come down here with his young family, and it was one of the places that the Biden family spent time over the course of a year. They do Thanksgiving up on Nantucket Island. Otherwise, they're based there in Wilmington. They have recently, in recent years, bought a home in Rehoboth Beach, and so that's another place he's been going. But Kiowa had traditionally been a stop either for Easter or at some point in the summer. The last big trip he took here actually was back in 2015, when he was still deciding what to do about running in 2016, and shortly after the death of his son, Beau Biden. So to be coming here now this weekend, just as he signed legislation to help military veterans like his son, who had been exposed to toxic burn pits and other toxic chemicals while in service. There's some sweet symmetry for that, perhaps. And it's a good chance for him to unwind, play some golf, most likely, friends say, spend some time with his family, and probably mull those two big issues we talked about, student loans and China tariffs, and what to do about the fall in his own political future. It's a good place to reflect on that.
Well, Ed O'Keefe, we should probably add weather correspondent to your title as well. It looks a little windy down there, but hopefully things will clean up. Enjoy your time.
High tide's rolling in. All righty, take care.